Well, hello there, rSpace fans. Welcome back. In this episode, we've got 3 quick stories, including one that could use your input, because it's an Am I the A-hole? Let's jump right into the first story. Fiancee cheated on me. Everyone knows, but still being forced to marry her. I am 23, male, and we were engaged when we were both 18. This was supposed to be an arranged marriage, not a love marriage. But after being engaged, we talked and I fell in love with her. I was devoted to her. Everything was going fine, but then after 4 years, 2 years ago, I found that she was cheating on me with her uncle and brother-in-law and a couple more whom I don't know. After finding out, I broke completely and tried suicide and mental breakdown. Wait, did that say her uncle and brother-in-law? This can't be good. I confronted her during my desperate state and forgave her because I really loved her. I just asked for one thing, that she stop being in touch with them, as they were family, so I said it can't be helped in extreme situations like family gatherings and events, but you should try your best to break all ties. She said no to that. I tried my best, like asking if there is blackmailing or forced or abuse. I will help you and we will fight together. But all she did was become abusive towards me, saying I might also be cheating. Who knows? Just because she was caught doesn't mean I am loyal. This broke my heart and I lost all love for her. But since our families were very close, and I gave this proposition to her family that if they want this marriage to happen, even after all this, they have to marry us at earliest. After she became abusive, I had to consult the elders, so I told her parents. She has no father. I didn't tell mine, as if she was to be married, I didn't want her to feel ashamed at our house. But instead, they all denied anything and ganged up on me. I tried to work on myself after that. She and her family broke all contacts with me, and after 3 months, I tried contacting her because we still were going to be married. She didn't reply to my calls, messages, nor her family. So now I told my parents everything and said I don't want to marry her. But next month, they are marrying me to her forcefully. Said even if she kills me the next day, you will marry her. I don't know what to do. Depression, anxiety, self-harm, everything is screwed up, and I barely have been myself these last 2 years. Please help me, I am desperate. This definitely seems like a bad situation. What's the advice? Grains of Glass thinks, do you have the financial ability to leave? You need to remove yourself from this entire situation. Your family will not be the ones living with this woman, you will. This is a stretch, but maybe offend her enough that she breaks the engagement and you are blameless? Not the most adult option and underhanded, but I also know little about cultures that arrange these things. Tell your parents you will never under any circumstances give them grandchildren with her, that you will instead date and sleep with other women and ignore that she even exists. The grandkids thing might really push it. They can't make you do anything. The OP replies back with, yes, I have started earning recently and can fend for myself. They won't break ties as she comes from a poor family and my family has a stable background and good respect. It will harm her family reputation. And I believe in adopting, so that's not going to happen with any woman. I have thought about starting fresh, but when I proposed that to my parents, they both fainted and had to rush Dad to the hospital, and Mom was also bedridden for a couple of days. I feel guilty as I have 2 siblings and I fear for them. They are still teens and I fear my decisions will affect their upbringing. Their freedom might be taken from them because of me, and seeing how my parents' health worsened that day, I feel that if any one of them gets seriously ill, it might affect them. I cannot stop feeling guilty about all this. I know none of this is my fault, but the decisions I will be making will be affecting so many. Okay, moving on. I, 25 male, caught my wife, 24, cheating 4 days ago. Need help moving forward. To give some background, me and my wife met when we were around 10 years old. We have had a thing for each other since, but only got serious when we turned 18. I knew she was infatuated with me, and I was with her, so the only plausible next step was marriage. I proposed to her on Valentine's Day at a getaway weekend when we were 21, and the rest is history. We both make it work with money and our day-to-day lives, respectable jobs, nice well-kept home, no kids, nice circle of friends, and cordial families. Everything was perfect in my mind. The infidelity began when I was using her phone. I saw texts to a guy from her work. This wasn't any direct flirting, but it was still odd and suggestive if you ask me. She'd say things like, I've had such a long day at work. And he'd say they need to relax together and so on. I admit, I have a temper and I was not about to let this happen. I told her she could no longer contact him, block him in front of my face, and she would no longer have me if she contacted him. She did everything I asked. So this brings me to Sunday night. I own a business with my cousin. We started it around age 20 and it really took off. We have an office where I sometimes sleep when the workload gets on top of me. I usually order in and get the work in order, and if it's too late, I'll spend the night. So I text my wife from about midday. Me and cousin are going to probably be kept here all night. I'll order in so you can eat without me and don't wait up. Love you. She responded minutes later, telling me she was a bit sad she wasn't going to see me that night, but wished me well with my work and said she loves me too. All was good. Fast forward to later that night. I decided the work had taken enough of my weekend and that I wanted to see my wife, who I thought also wanted to see me. So around 7 p.m., I began making my way home. When I got home, I heard talking upstairs, but couldn't make it out. So I went up where I saw my wife and the guy. I admit, I didn't handle it the best I could have. I started by beating him up as he tried to, "Look man, I'm sorry," me. I kicked him out of the house and sent him to walk home without his shoes. My wife was hysterical from the moment I walked in, and I came very close to getting physical with her also, but I didn't. Through all of this, she cried and cried, saying it was a stupid mistake, but by this point, my concerns from the text messages were proved to be justified. I repeatedly told her to save her breath, and I did not want to hear any of the idiotic explanations she had. I considered going back to the office, but I said no, F that. Told her to get her stuff and stay wherever the F she could. I wanted her out of my sight. She stayed with her best friends since. My phone has been blown up by her friends and family since, but I've ignored them. I told her dad what happened though. He was livid and took my side. Since the first day, my anger was transitioned to sadness over the fact that our almost lifelong journey has been thrown away for some sleazy dude from her work. I have been staying busy, but would be lying if I said every idle moment I get hasn't been spent sulking, crying, lamenting over what happened. I'm contacting lawyers tomorrow morning to get our divorce rolling. First of all, you have to realize she is not the person you thought she was. She is someone that will lie and cheat on you, unless you want to divorce her. She will say anything to you, but how can you believe her? She broke your marriage vows. None of her promises now will mean more than that. She wanted to experience more. Now she has given that opportunity to you, just without her. I know you're feeling pain. That pain is from missing who you thought she was. There should be no pain in missing a lying, cheating spouse. Eventually, you'll see that it is good you found out now and didn't waste any more of your life on her. Every time you feel pain or sadness, just tell yourself she is a liar and a cheater and celebrate that you escaped her. You need to contact 2 lawyers, divorce and criminal. Do this to keep ahead of anything coming your way. If the affair partner goes to the cops, an assault on your record can be very limiting, and in the event of divorce, does not look good in the eyes of a judge. Remember, do not talk to the police. They are not your friends in this situation. And last but not least, am I the a-hole for forcing my wife to eat more like my sister? My wife, 38 female, and my sister, 21 female, were pregnant and gave birth around the same time. My wife gave birth in late September, and my sister gave birth on the 2nd of October. We live in Florida, and despite my sister giving birth later, when we saw her during the holiday season, she was already back in a bikini and wearing her usual style of bra-length tops and ripped skinny jeans and looked flawless. She's an influencer, and her followers have begun commenting the hourglass emoji under her content again. My wife has expressed envy at my sister when we'd go out in public, and people would be vocal about how surprised they were that my sister was her son's mother and not a big sister in high school. My wife works out all the time, going on runs every morning before work, and going to the gym during the weekend. Recently in therapy, she said she can feel me being so uninterested in her since our daughter was born, and says she desperately tries to get facials and work out to try to keep my attention. I felt bad that my wife seemed to be exercising so much, but the scale never seemed to budge, and she was left agonizing over the fact that she had the beginning of the stereotypically gaunt runner's face. So I asked my sister what her secret was to being so fit, because I knew she didn't like to work out much because she fears gaining muscle that would make her look unfeminine about as much as someone would fear dying. We went over to my sister and her husband's home for Christmas, and she showed us the contents of her fridge, which were mostly fruits and vegetables, and didn't have stuff like pasta or bread in it, which I noticed that my wife continuously was eating, along with chocolate-covered pretzels she compulsively munches on. So I offered to get the groceries the other day with no junk food. However, a few hours later, I come home from a run and I see the unhealthy crap my wife likes back in the pantry and fridge, some of the bread already eaten. My wife herself said that if she could adopt whatever my sister does and see it work, she'd do anything to look like my sister. So in an attempt to be a problem solver, I tossed the new junk, including stuff for pasta, bread, ice cream out. When my wife came back inside, I was making lunch and she scrunched her nose up at the soup I was making and went to the pantry before I could stop her. She got furious when I saw that I had tossed out her food, and I said that she wanted to look like my sister, so I was trying to help make that happen. I said she didn't need any of the so-called comfort food, and she started screaming that it's all gone from breastfeeding and that she couldn't believe I was comparing her negatively to my sister. She said my sister was a stay-at-home mom with a husband who pays for her personal trainer and somebody to cook their food for them, and started crying that she's lost me since our daughter arrived. Am I the a-hole for trying to solve my wife's body problem in a productive way? I'll bet I know where this is going, but let's get confirmation from the audience. Acceptable letter 331 says, "You're the a-hole. Here's your sister's secret. She's 21, and your wife's almost 40. I could eat 24/7 at 21 and not gain an ounce. God, you're an a-hole." Meat Raspberry also thinks this. There is nearly a 20-year age difference here. Your body works differently at 20 and 40. You need to encourage your wife, not play on her insecurities. You're the a-hole. Anita Deranged also comes in at, "I had a baby at 21. My body bounced back a week after birth. I actually looked better after having my son. At 26, I had another baby, and it took me 3 years to lose the weight. Each pregnancy is different. Our hormones react differently each time. Age most definitely is a huge factor, but so are hormones and how much weight each one gained during the pregnancy. If the wife works out that much and breastfeeds and still is struggling with weight loss, it is likely her hormones and her age. She could have thyroid issues that started due to, yeah, you guessed it, hormones. OP might be one of the biggest a-holes I've read on here in a while. No way he can't realize how crappy he's coming off. Just tell your wife you still find her incredibly attractive, and you know in time she'll lose the weight if she keeps up with what she's doing. It's healthy to lose weight a little slower. Skin goes back to normal a little better. You're the a-hole times 4.